Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Rep Path podcast. Today, guys, we're going to talk about something that's very important. I know a lot of you guys know this. Some of you do a pretty good job of this, but a lot don't. And that's optimizing your LinkedIn profile. So this isn't like 20 years ago, guys, where it was just about your resume. Every single time now, they're going to look at these recruiters for medical sales positions. Not only the recruiters, but the hiring managers. They're not only going to look at your resume, but they're going to look at your LinkedIn profile. So we're going to talk about some quick tips and ideas to really maximize that so you can help you break into this industry. But as always, before we break into that, some quick housekeeping. Guys, any questions from this moment on, please submit them to the chat, and James will handle those about halfway through the show, and we'll answer those questions. So please, any questions, get those sent in there. Number two, guys, if you haven't heard about it yet, or if you haven't reached out, the Rep Path Academy, for all you individuals that are struggling to break into this industry, it gets harder and harder every day, guys. Every time we post a job, again, we get 300 to 500 resumes, 300 to 500 in only a couple of days. So I'm not saying that to scare everyone, but it's the reality. There is incredible competition to be in this industry. Join the Rep Path Academy. We can help you get in quickly. This is a website that you see on the screen here. Go on reppath.com. You could see the average that it takes us getting in we're at about 10 weeks right now for the average rep to break in. These are a bunch of the companies that we place. Of course, many, many more. These are just some of the testimonials of some of the great candidates that we've helped break into this industry. So go on the website, shoot me a DM, set up a call with me, and we can get you set up to join the academy. Lastly, guys, if you want to see this content or anything else that we produce, please, go on YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube account, which is the Rep Path Academy. You could see it there. That'll give you access to all the podcasts that we have, and, including additional content. Go in there, subscribe. It's free. Rep Path Academy, so you could see the recording of this and every other podcast that we've done. Okay, awesome. So let's dive right in, guys. LinkedIn. Okay. Now, just to say right off the bat, obviously I don't work for LinkedIn. I don't get paid to promote the company. It's by far in our industry, especially if you're looking to break into the industry, you have to be on LinkedIn if you want to get a medical sales role. I'm not saying you can't do it without it, but guys, I'm sure most of you that are listening to this are already on LinkedIn, especially if you're listening to the podcast on LinkedIn. Of course you are, but you got to really maximize your profile. Okay. So just to give you an example of how incredible this is for us, and what a great resource that you want to maximize. If any of you have owned a business out there where you had to pay for billboards, okay. Now, my family, we used to own a restaurant that I owned with my brother-in-law, and it was right in Elizabeth, New Jersey. So we looked into purchasing billboard space along the turnpike now and Route 1 and 9. So if anybody's from New Jersey, the traffic on the Garden State Parkway and also on Route 1 and 9. We were right in that vicinity, right off of 13A on the turnpike. So it was a great location, tons of traffic. And our goal was to get, some billboard time. One of the things I learned, there's, the standard old school, like painted billboards, where that same image is going to stay up for, weeks or months at a time. And then there's digital billboards. All right. So a lot of times you pass by quickly when you're going 50, 60 miles an hour, you don't realize that digital billboard is changing every couple of seconds, every couple of minutes, wherever the timer is, but usually clicks and changes right away. That space is incredibly expensive, guys. Incredibly expensive. When I tell you some of the options that we had were like 15, 20,000 a month, and that wasn't even to get the painted billboard that's going to be up there and nothing else. This was on a rotation with other ads, and you were still paying that crazy amount of money just to promote your restaurant. So that's what I want you to realize, guys, that LinkedIn, it's a free promotional billboard, and you got to use it that way. So if we can jump right in, James, if we could pull up my my LinkedIn page to use as an example, just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Awesome, buddy. If we could start, James, and zoom in to my ugly picture and my banner in the background at the top, we could start there. Okay, awesome.
There we go. That's
Perfect.
zoomed as we can get.
That's close enough.
No one wants to see your ugly mug that bad, Joe.
No. So, all right, guys, couple quick things. Now, one of the before we even get into the banner, your pictures, guys, your headshots. A lot of you love to show that picture that you got a nice tan, you went to your buddy's wedding, you look good in your tux or your suit, and you have that candid photo. There's nothing wrong with that, all right? So a lot of you use those pictures where you look really good out, doing whatever, going to a wedding, going to a party, going out Saturday night with your wife, whatever it is. Guys, spend a few extra dollars and get a professional headshot, right? You got to realize that even though you look good in that picture, that's great. But this is a professional role you're going for. You're dealing with doctors. You're dealing with other medical sales professionals, executives. You're dealing with other clinical staff. You're dealing with patients. They want to see professionalism. While there's nothing wrong with showing that picture, but realize that your competitors are going out to go get those headshots. So put a suit on, at the very least, business casual with a button down. A button down if you're a guy, whatever you would wear for business casual if you're a girl. Get that professional headshot, guys, and get that posted. That makes a difference. Believe me. Some of you don't even have pictures on there. Get your picture on there. They are going to check your account out. All right. And it's a reflection of you. So the more polished that you have your LinkedIn page, the more that it shows the type of rep that you're going to approach this territory. Remember, guys, they're giving you territories that can generate millions of dollars a year. It's very important for the company. Some of these territories generate 6, 7, 8, 10 million a year. They want a professional in those roles. They want someone that takes it seriously, and you're only doing yourself a disservice, especially if you're looking for a role. But you got to get that. You got to get that headshot done. It costs a few bucks. You don't have to go crazy and spend hundreds of dollars on it. Just go get a headshot done and get that uploaded. That's the first thing that many of you, don't give that enough attention. So while you look good in that wedding picture or your party picture on a Saturday, go out and get that professional headshot. Okay, next is the banner. The banner is probably one of the most important aspects to really grab the attention of whoever's looking at that page. All right, so now if you see mine, obviously for my banner, we're looking at RepPath. I'm here to promote RepPath. There's no secrets. I'm here to promote the RepPath Academy. I created this image. It's not anything mind-blowing, but it just shows, to stay on to just obviously RepPath means, taking you down that representative pathway to your success. So you see there, we have the RepPath Academy. It clearly states, you see the reps walking up. I put a couple medical symbols to show we're trying to help you go down that path to get into medical sales. But
I just want to add real quick, Joe, that if Joe can do this and make it happen, anybody can do it.
You broke up for a second, James, so no one heard that stupid comment. But anyway, no, he means it, guys. If I know how to do this, literally anyone can do it. So don't tell me it takes, oh my God, I don't know how to do that. A quick suggestion. I know most of you know what Canva is. Get a Canva account. You're not only going to use it here, you're going to use it for many other things, whether it's your own business or just in the medical field. So spend a couple dollars. But even if you don't want to do that, you could create this on ChatGPT. There's many ways to do it. But the whole point is, like James said, like the old commercials, it's so easy a caveman can do it. Like that's basically me.
Joe is the caveman.
Yes. I think they read through the lines there, James. I think they knew who
I had to emphasize it.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. That's what I'm here for, Joe. That's what I'm here for.
You're the best, buddy. But anyway, guys, it's so easy to do. So for a lot of you in this field, if actually, James, I'll give you we'll come back. I'll show a couple examples. But if it's something that, if you're going into medical sales, just put a medical background. Maybe there's so many stock images with reps talking to talking to doctors, detailing them, or there's just the medical symbol. You could put that with the snakes and the wings or whatever the heck that is, like I have in the top right-hand corner, or anything, but let it be known of what your passion is. A lot of you guys have beautiful pictures of a sunset, of a, maybe a lot of you college kids, you have your school in the background, which is, God, that's all nice. But again, if I just got one snapshot, does that tell you what I want? So do that. Let them know that your passion is medical, is sales, whatever it is, utilize that space, because sometimes it's that quick where a lot of people go on my site, probably don't read past my name but at the end of the day, the first thing they're going to see is Rep Path and the Rep Path Academy, where we're here to help you break into medical sales. That's simple. The proven path to medical sales. You see all that right away. So you have a pretty good idea of what I'm all about. But if you don't utilize that space, a lot of you just have a blank canvas. I did that too. It was only a few years ago where I really started, ramping up my LinkedIn page. So utilize that space. They should be able to see that picture, that banner, and have a good indicator of what you're all about. Okay. Next, underneath your title. Okay. Now, just because it's far, James, I'm going to have it open up on my phone too, so I can read some of this because I can't see shit. All right. So you see underneath my title, a lot of you guys leave that blank, or you'll just give your title. If some of you guys are already in the industry too, this is good for you too. A lot of you put in, territory manager, striker, whatever your company is. And that's fine, but you got more space there. You could put so much more space in just what your title is. So utilize that space. Give some awards. If you're a 3-time President's Club winner, put that in there. If you just started and your first quarter, you hit 120% to plan, put that in there. Let them know that you're results oriented, whatever that is. Get some of the accolades in that title, because they want competitors. You guys, some of you in college that are collegiate athletes, or whatever it is, put that in there. I don't even care if you put, hit 40 home runs my senior year, something that shows results, whatever the results are. It doesn't even have to be a sales background. Show results, show something you're proud of. I actually had a nurse that joined the academy, and they won, I forget the name of the award, but there was a nursing award in the hospital that they won 2 years in a row. Now, again, it has nothing to do with sales, but it has to do with competition and driving results. I know they don't give that award to poor performance. They're giving that to a high performer. So put that in the title. You see here, top medical sales coach and recruiter, helping thousands break into medical sales through Rep Path Academy, building next generation of high-performing reps. Now, mine's a little different because it's my own business, but a lot of you could still utilize that space. When I first started this, guys, I had recruiter. I had medical sales coach. That's it. Give a little more. That's so important, guys, that you're going to see the difference. Okay. So, James, if we come down a little bit to the about section. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Now, guys, it might be a little hard to read, but you're going to get the gist of it. Thank you, James.
Oh, they should be able to see it on their screen because it's the full screen.
You could see. Okay, cool. Now you see here, again, it's a little different because I have our mission statement at Rep Path, but then I have my story. All right. So a lot of you give just descriptors, almost like your professional summary, results oriented, competitive, energetic, sales representative from, Medtronic with 3 years of high performance. And okay, well, that's not bad, but tell your story. Why did you want to get into medical sales? Right? They're going to ask you this. We always talk about it. It's one of our modules in the course, which is knowing your why. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to be in this industry? So we have some candidates in the academy that they have great stories, and then they put it on their page, and it just shows so much about who they are. We have one that talked about how he wanted to get into this industry because his father had a heart attack, and the CRM device that saved his life motivate him to say, this is exactly what I want to do. I want to help people in my career, just like this rep was able to help my father, and this device saved his life. So I want to be a part of something like this. And then he walks into that. Some people, they talk about their story. When they, you can go back to when you're a little kid and, you had a lemonade stand and that made you love sales. Ever since you had that lemonade stand when you were 7, you love sales. Or ever since you were, 5 years old, you live for sports, you live for competition. And that competition, later throughout the years has inspired you to become a medical sales rep. Obviously, I'm summing up, but give that story. When I go in there, I start my journey when I was at St. James Hospital. I volunteered in the operating room, during my from my sophomore year on, and I basically got to observe cases all day long. And that's where I learned. I originally wanted to become a doctor, but then I learned about the medical sales reps that were in there seeing these gray-haired doctors listen to these 25-year-olds. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Who are these young guys? At the time, they're only a couple years older than me, and they're telling the doctor what to do. I was blown away. I didn't know it existed. But as I go into that and start going through my story, graduating from Villanova, coming out, taking roles, at Carico, where I started selling air purifiers and water filters, and then finally breaking into the pharmaceutical industry with Organon, and explain my path, over the next 20-something years. But it gives you more of a snapshot of what I'm about, and it answers my why. You'll get that. So you got to take the time, guys, and really put effort into that about section, because most of you ignore it or give a quick little blurb that looks like a professional summary, load it with adjectives. Guys, the more I can't stress this enough. It's okay to use an adjective once in a while, but if you're doing anything either on your resume, on your LinkedIn profile, load it with adjectives. You're telling me and not showing me. There's a difference. I want you to show me. Don't tell me. And what that means is show me the results. Show me actual facts. Don't just give me all kinds of adjectives. Anyone could put adjectives down, guys. Anyone could say they're hardworking, grit, tenacious, results-driven, sales-oriented. The same bullshit everyone uses. You could see every time someone gives a chat GPT answer, they utilize the same exact answer. Most of them start with results-driven when they're doing a professional summary. So if you want to blend in with everyone else, then use that. But if you want to give your real story, put in that in that about section. I guarantee you, people are going to notice that, and it's going to help you, right? So that's it for that section. Next is actually utilizing LinkedIn to network. Okay. So for instance, James, we're just going to do a quick example.
Okay.
So this is real, where you have Stryker that you're interviewing for. Well, we'll create a scenario. Since I'm from Morris County, New Jersey, there's an opening in Morristown, New Jersey, for the Stryker. We'll put in we'll just say the orthopedic division of Stryker. So we know there's an opening there for an associate rep. And this happens with a lot of you guys, okay? Recruiter calls you and says, hey, Joe, got an opening for Stryker. Morristown is the open territory in the orthopedic division. So a lot of you, what you do when you network, and, again, I'm not saying all of you. A lot of you guys use this and do this very well, but a lot of you don't, where you go out and you just start reaching out to reps. You reach out before there's an opening, just contact reps all day. Again, guys, can that work if one day an opening does happen at that company? Sure, that's great. And then you're in a good position. But a lot of times you burn yourself out because all you're doing is just reaching out to reps every day. Reach out with intention. We talked about this a little bit on the last call. You got to network with intention. So you got to utilize LinkedIn the right way. So when you're doing this, you're actually getting to the next level. So this is for reps that when the recruiter calls you, says, Joe, got an interview with Bob Smith. He's the hiring manager at Stryker in the Morristown orthopedic division. So James, what I want you to do, if you could please just type in Stryker, ortho, and Morristown, New Jersey. We didn't test this out, guys, so I have no idea what the heck's going to come up.
It's loading. There we go. I spelled Stryker wrong.
There you go. Nothing but the best here, guys. All right, so it's hard to see from here. Well, let me do it on my. I'll do it on my phone too. Okay, so if you go down, if you just click that, James, where you got Brom Country, if you go, okay, perfect. If you could just click where it says show all people results. Yep. Perfect. Thank you. So guys, this is where you just got to piece things together quickly. Okay. So again, not to go down everyone's name here, because these are real people, but bottom line is, guys, read in the actual job titles of these people and where they're located. And then you'll have a good idea that whoever that person is, they have a good chance of working with Bob Jones. And you also could see if they're connected to that hiring manager. But the first thing I do, this first individual, Andrew, foot and ankle sales representative at Stryker in Morristown, there's a pretty good indicator that he works in that division. All right. So one of the first things I do, I'll click on Andrew's name. I check the seniority. So if you go down a little bit to experience, James. Yep. Perfect. Now you see he's been there almost 5 years. That's a good sign. Okay. Now we don't really need to do this test with Stryker. We know that this is a reputable company, one of the best in the world. But a lot of times when you're interviewing with companies with less known names, this is one of the first things that I do. I go on LinkedIn, I check the tenure of all the reps. You don't have to, if they have 500 reps, you don't have to check out 500, but go through the first 10, 20 and check their tenure there. If you see a company where everyone, has been there like a year, 8 months, year and a half tops. Now, assuming that they're not a newly launched company, that's a red flag. So that's something that I look for right away. When I don't really know much about a company and I see the tenure there's not much tenure there and the company's been around a while, that is a huge red flag. And then vice versa, that's a great sign when you see reps that have been there 3, 4, 5 years plus, one after the other, then you know that they treat their reps right. Okay, James, if we could just back out to that page with all the names. Thank you. Awesome. So guys, it's just that simple. Reach out to the individuals that either match the title of that division and are closely related or most closely located to that Morristown territory. And that's where I message them. You want to either send a connection, send them a message. Now, for some of you that aren't on premium on LinkedIn, again, I suggest you sign up. All these things don't cost that much money, guys. You don't have to do it, but it's going to give you more in-mail opportunities so you can reach out to more people. And it's something to do it through the interview process until you get a job. If you want to cancel, you cancel then, whatever. I mean, I don't suggest you do because you're still going to need it moving forward, but it's a great option because it can allow you to reach out to more people. But even if you don't, you could simply go in, connect, and message the people and start with the people that are most closely related to that opening. And the goal is to get on a phone call with them before you have that interview. Now, again, we don't talk to people, especially we teach this at the academy. You don't just call people just to give it info. Okay. These are interviews. Excuse me, guys. Give me 1 sec. So these aren't just some friendly, casual calls shooting the shit. You want to get information, yes, but you're also treating this like an interview. So when they talk about the challenges going on at that company, you want to position yourself as the solution. That's why you're down on the phone with them. It's not just wasting their time and saying, hey, let's spend the next 30 minutes talking about all the information you can give me. If you're not giving solutions, you're not showing value, guys, that conversation is going to end quickly. Or at the very least, they're not going to go back to that hiring manager and talk about you. So that is the goal. If you do this every day, this is networking. Reaching out to reps for no reason, just because they're medical sales reps, and asking them how much they like the industry, what don't they like. I mean, this is a lot of the conversations. Guys, that's bullshit. That's waste of time. You want to be on the phone with them, getting information. Number one, whenever they talk about challenges or obstacles, you want to be able to explain how you've been able to do that in the past and how you can bring the same solutions here to be to bring value to this company. But you're also building a business plan. You want to get information that's actually actionable in that territory. Who are the doctors? Who are the hospitals? Where are their contract, challenges? Where do you have contracts? Where are you on GPO? What GPOs are you on? Which IDNs are you a part of? Which ones are you not? What are the opportunities, challenge, all that stuff. But as specific as you can get, the most information you can get, and then put it into a business plan that hiring manager can actually use. And I've seen reps do this. The percentages go up exponentially. The reps that build business plans and then actually present it to the hiring manager. And I'm telling you guys, that is so much more powerful than how much I feel about 30, 60, 90s that are generic. They're dog shit. So a lot of reps just send that 30, 60, 90. Now, what does that say? Just think of this, guys. And James, we could come off the page. Sorry. We can just go back to a regular screen. Thank you. So what is that 30, 60, 90? If you just hand a 30, 60, 90 to a hiring manager and just like, hey, I just thought you would like this. And there's nothing specific about that. Nothing about the territory. He didn't even ask for it, right? Now, that shows you're not listening to your customers. You're not asking questions. You're not asking and making it about them. This is about you when you just hand something that no one asked for. I mean, imagine you go to a restaurant and the waiter just comes out like, Joe, I thought you'd like the veal piccata. You're like, what the frig is this for? I didn't even order this. I don't like this. You'll be pissed off. It's the same thing with a hiring manager, guys. You ask them, what do you want? The waiter asks you, what do you want to eat? You say, I'll take the steak. I'll take a ribeye, side of mashed potatoes, whatever. They come out with that. And you're happy when it's good. It's the same thing. Ask them, what do you want? So before the interview, after you get that information, after you build the business plan, after you're showing them the value that you bring, the challenges they're having, and how you're the solution, now you reach out to them before the interview, okay? And you send them a thank you before the interview. Nobody does this, guys. This is a real tip. This works. I guarantee you it works. Worst case scenario, they don't respond. But there's a lot of times where managers will say, you know what, Joe? Yeah, bring me a business plan too. Or they might say, don't, just come with your resume. That's it. There's going to be a casual conversation. But at least you're telling them ahead of time, I'm excited. Thank you so much for the time in advance. Is there anything you'd like me to present besides my resume? Guys, I'm telling you that you're making it about your customers. Hiring managers love this shit. They love it because they know if you're doing that, that's what you're going to do with their doctors. That's what you're going to do when you're in the field. And that's what high performers do. They find out what their customers' needs are, and then they provide value and provide those, solve those needs. That's how you win, guys. So if you follow that process and do this is very simple on LinkedIn, guys. It doesn't take much time, but you got to utilize it the right way. Start with that opening. Start networking around that opening. I don't want to hear, Joe, I sent a message. I didn't hear back from anyone. Okay. How many did you send? I don't care if you keep sending it until the person tells you, do not send me another message. You're the most annoying person on earth. I hate you, right? Which they're never going to do. Guys, be persistent. It can't hurt. They're not going to say that guy was too persistent. We don't want someone like that on our team. Yes, they do. Right? I'm not saying you contact them 50 times a day and like a psychopath. No, but if you don't hear back in a day or two, send another message. Hey, you may not have seen this. Just reaching out again. Would love to pick your brain and, and show how I could provide value to this opening. That's it. Just a couple minutes. That's all you need from them. But be persistent, because that's what you have to do with your doctors. And they know that. If you're only going to reach out once, do you think a doctor is going to get back to you after one time? I mean, there were doctors I called on for years. There were some guys I didn't even know what the hell they looked like. And I called them for 2 years. James, I actually got a funny one with this. There was one doctor in Newark that I called on so many times. I literally it was maybe 15, 20 times in the first 6 months. I was there every other week, and I never saw the person. And so I didn't, she had one of those names that it was like it wasn't Marty, but I'm forgetting the first name, but you couldn't tell if it was unisex. It could have been a boy or a girl.
Mm-hmm.
The whole time I'm talking about him. And the first time I met her, it was a girl. Right? All my call notes said he this, he that, he this. Because let's be real, guys. We all, back in the day, when you couldn't see a doctor, everyone just gives some bullshit call note, which is useless. The whole time I was saying he.
Oh my goodness.
Never even knew that it was a girl. Thank God my manager wasn't with me at the time. But the whole point is, guys, yeah, I forgot what my point was. I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, Ked.
You were talking about getting FaceTime with the doctors and putting your call notes.
Yeah. So yeah, bottom line, guys, just, you got to follow this path. You got to put that work in. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work. Oh, getting back to, I know what it was. It was calling on a doctor once, just like reaching out to someone once on LinkedIn. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of time and persistence. They know that. The more that you show that, they're going to respect that. And I got my movie reference for that right now, James.
Let's hear it.
Old
I'm ready
school
for it.
favorite. You weren't even born yet. Maybe you were just born. Wall Street. Original Wall Street, 1987 Wall Street.
Yep, the year before I was born.
Do you remember how many times Bud Fox called on Gordon Gekko? How many days in a row?
A lot.
Okay. Yeah, it was like 57 days in a row. Right? Now, Gordon Gekko, when he finally meets him, he's like, there should be he gives like a line that there should be a picture of you next to the word persistence in the dictionary. And it's very true. This is what it takes, especially these doctors that have a lot of volume, that bring a lot of business to companies. Believe me, guys, you're not the only ones with the data. Everyone's going to be calling on these doctors. You have to be persistent. No one's going to get back to you after the first time. If you do, go out and buy a lottery ticket that day, because you're a lucky bastard. Because most people, no matter how compelling their message is, it takes time. The average is, between, I think it's 9 times for someone to actually, for you to actually make an impact and get a sale. That's average. It takes a lot of calls, guys. So you have to be persistent. Don't just make 1 or 2 calls and think that that's going to be enough. You got to keep chasing after these people to get time with them, to get that information so you can really, stand out in that interview. But I'm going to pause right here. James, any questions from the crowd?
Yeah, we got quite a few. Chris Kinsley was talking about, he asked he said when you were bringing up all of those reps on LinkedIn, he said more than half the time those reps can't even hire.
More than half the time those reps can't even hire?
Yeah, so those reps, when you were talking about these reps, when you're doing the search for Striker Rothrow in Moorestown, he said more than half the time those reps can't even hire.
Absolutely. You're 100% right. I would say it's way higher than half the time. It might be 95% of the time. They are not responsible for the hiring. They're not the hiring manager, right? And that's a great point, because a lot of people take them lightly. They use them as a stepping stone, like, hey, buddy, give me some info so I can really, impress the guy that really makes the decisions. That is the wrong approach. So I appreciate the question and I appreciate the comment. But you want to take it seriously. Believe me, even though they're not the direct hiring manager, and yes, they don't technically hire and fire you, they have an impact with that hiring manager. All right? You never know how much, but some of these guys, especially when you're going for associate roles, excuse me, you're going to be working with some of these territory managers as their associate. Believe me, they have a monster say in who's getting hired, who they want to work with, because you're going to work with them directly. Now, I know situations where, regional directors or regional business managers, district managers who are technically the boss that you report to, that actually, approves your expense reports, has the ability to hire and fire you. You do ride-alongs with that person. Even though they're directly your direct boss, those individuals have a lot to say. So that's why all those people that, yes, they don't have an impact, they don't have the ability to hire you, they definitely have major influence with those hiring managers. And you want to treat it, because you never know how much, you want to treat it that each person you talk to has a monster influence over that hiring manager. So you always want to impress. So by that comment, I got to be honest, it makes me a little concerned. I don't want you to take them lightly. So make sure every time you're doing that, you treat them just like a hiring manager, trying to impress them, trying to show value, trying to get them to get you more referrals, get you someone else that you could speak to, outright asking them, would you recommend me for the role? I mean, these are things, guys, you're showing them that you're closing, that you're asking for the business, you're asking for the job. They might say, hey, I don't have anything to do with that. That's fine. But you still want to show them, because believe me, I can't tell you how many times they're going to get off that call and then call their hiring manager and say, hey, man, you got to meet this Joe Licata. This guy's really good. He was a persistent bastard, but I liked how he approached it. He was bringing solutions, brought energy, brought excitement. Believe me, guys, this is how you catapult over those individuals with more experience. I'll shut up.
It's your show, Joe. Keep it going. We got Brianna Moves 72. Is it possible to make your profile look relevant for med sales when your background is totally different?
Absolutely. I mean, it shows what you have passion in. I mean, I have people that put up Yankee banners. They don't play for the Yankees, right? That's the team they love. Why can't you do the same thing? If you're passionate about something, put it up there. Again, a lot of people, they do the sunsets, picture of the city, beautiful views. That's very nice. But why waste the space when I can, especially if I want to get into this industry, show that you have passion? Because you're going to come up against someone, guys, that's very similar to you as a candidate. You got to do all these little things that makes that hiring manager feel comfortable. Remember, we talk about this a lot too. We're all a risk. They all view, it doesn't matter how many years, what your background is, you're some sort of risk. Some are more than others. Your job as a rep during the process is reducing that risk with that hiring manager. So if they see that you're putting in, you're showing that passion of having the medical or a sales banner or something that shows results, anything that is making them feel more comfortable, that you have a passion for this job, for this career, they're more likely to hire that person that just has a blank canvas or just a picture of a sunset. I want the person that really wants this. So show it.
We got Trevor Wachukawu. Does having a lot of connections actually matter? Is it more about how your profile looks?
I mean, again, I'm not one of those that, sit here and you can always bring up different scenarios. What's more important? At the end of the day, both are very important. Okay. Connections, of course, connections matter. Of course, relationships matter. But there's a difference. There's a big misperception that people go, well, I don't have any connections. I don't have any relationships in medical, so I'm not going to bother. No, guys, you create relationships. You create, referrals. That's what you do. That's what you do in this job. So I love when I see reps that have no connections in an industry. They come from a completely different industry. They outwork everyone during the interview process. They're constantly networking with intention, like we talked about, putting that work in, building a business plan. Before they get hired, they already have relationships at the company, like they already work there. They did that. So you could do that every day. You can keep building and building and building and get those relationships. You don't have to have a father that's a doctor or a mother that is a VP for a medical sales company. Of course that helps, but most of us don't have that. The majority of the reps that broke in don't have that. It's not like a nepotism thing where everyone that's a sales rep, their sons and family members all become sales reps. That's nonsense, So there might be an aunt or an uncle, but a lot of times, I know for when, friends and family that I knew that wanted to break in the industry years ago, when I first started, just because I was in the industry, that didn't mean I could just get people jobs back then. Yeah, it was good to give some information, but at the end of the day, everyone has to build those relationships. I had none. I did the same thing years ago. LinkedIn didn't exist, but I was calling reps. Once I got one, I asked who else I could speak to, getting as much information as possible, building relationships, becoming a likable person on the phone that they would want to work with. All very important, making it about them, and how I can help them, and that's how you build it. So you don't need the relationships to start, but you got to bust your ass to build them when you to break in.
A day in the life of Chris 573. How specific should you get with your numbers and quota attainment? Like, does putting exact percentages look better than vague stuff?
1,000%. You don't want to say I sold about 80% to quota in Q3 of 2025. You achieved 83% to quota in Q3 of 2025. The exact percentage. They want to know too, guys, when test yourself today, really, and this is a good test for all of you. Do you really know your territory? For some of you that do, are in sales roles, do you know all your numbers? What are you ranked? Someone asks you right now, what are you ranked? For the quarter, where are you to plan? Now if you go, I think I'm like 12th out of 30, and I'm about 50% to plan. I don't know. I got to look. No, bad answer. You want to know, yeah, I'm 53% to plan, but I still have a little over a month to get there. I'm ranked 12 out of 25. I need another 300,000 if I want to hit President's Club. Like, you have to know your numbers inside and out. Inside and out. You have to really, really have a stranglehold in your territory and know that. Understand how many more cases you need to get to your number. Same thing, no matter what job you're in, you need to know what you need to achieve to hit your goals. So make sure the more exact, the better.
I got Tara Villanueva. Joe, I've applied to 30 medical sales jobs and barely hear back. Someone told me recruiters check LinkedIn before they even look at your resume. Is that true? And what should I fix first?
Well, you fix both. Okay. And that's what we can help you. We could definitely help you with this. We do this every day. It's actually 2 of the modules in the Rep Path Academy. So you want to make sure, though, you are fixing both. Don't make assumptions, guys. That's what we don't do at the Academy. We don't say it's probably your resume. Oh, you're getting interviews. So but you're not getting jobs. So it's probably your interview prep. No, of course it may point in that direction, but until we cover everything, again, there's not one silver bullet that's going to solve this, guys. It's all the little things. So make sure you're doing all those little things. You're updating your resume. You're showing you drive results. You're updating your LinkedIn profile and really highlighting. You're updating your story. What's your why? Why do you want to get in this industry? Your banner, your headshot, all the little things. There's so many more things that we go into in much more detail. We don't have enough time for this call, but you cover everything, and we can help you do that. So a lot of you, I get it. I was in your position years ago. You feel like you're on an island out there. Am I doing this right? How come no one's getting back to me? Like you said, you've been through all these interviews. You don't know what's wrong, and you try to self-diagnose. It's very hard to do, guys. Really hard to do, especially the interview aspects of it, because very few you actually record yourself and then can honestly grade yourself. You need that third-person point of view to say you don't realize that you're looking up when you talk, or your head's down. You fidget your hands. You say a lot, or whatever it is. I do shit too, but again, unless you have someone else out there telling you, okay, here's what I saw, let's review this, and really coaching you through it, it's hard to self-diagnose, especially when you're in sales, when you're by yourself all day long. you need that person to actually coach you through it, and we can help you do that.
Renee Stafford, I've been told to post content on LinkedIn to build my personal brand, but I have no idea what to post as a sales rep. Can you touch on that?
Great point. And that's one of the things I actually forgot to mention. So thank you for that question. Posting, guys, is so important on LinkedIn. None of you do it enough. Okay. I don't want to say none, but 80% of you do not post enough. I don't have to say, you don't have to be like me. Again, I'm here, as a mentor. I'm trying to help provide value every day as much as I can. So I post multiple times, so we're constantly, in your feed, but I'm always really trying to always provide value. I'm not just always just shooting out ads of the Rep Path Academy. I mean, that's annoying as shit. I'm always trying to bring real value. So whenever I have a thought, I take notes, I put down, or I'll save something of whatever I want to post, or I'll just shoot it out right away whenever I think of something. Like, you know what? It's a good idea. I don't want to forget it. And I'll just send it out. But a lot of you don't do enough of that. And you have to take advantage of that. You don't need to be a 25-year veteran like me. Okay. You could be zero, no experience. You just want to get in. You could ask a question. Hey guys, what's a good resume tip? I'm really struggling. You'll see people will respond, or hey guys, just want to let everyone know I'm really eager. I just graduated from Penn State and I'm dying to get into the medical sales industry. Anyone have any tips? Anything, I'm willing to learn. I don't care what it is. Get it out there. Let people know that you exist. And by posting, I'm telling you, you will get addicted, guys. You'll see, you'll get more and more likes. You'll start tracking your views. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I try not to obsess over this stuff, because at the end of the day, for my business, it's not as important. But for you guys, you'll get a like. What happens when you get a like and it's a regional sales manager for a medical company? I mean, guys, that is an amazing lead right then and there. They liked your thought. They recognize you. You reach out to that person immediately. So go down your likes, see the different people, start conversations with them. A lot of them are in the industry. You'll notice that. That's how you build relationships. Post more than you post, anything that you think can provide value. You could post a study. You could post a thought. You could repost someone else's thought or study, but always try to give your thoughts on whatever you're posting, even if it's a repost. But you have to be doing that at least twice a week. But the more the better, guys, because more people are going to recognize you and know that you're someone that really wants to be in this industry. And what's more powerful than, again, I don't know anyone in this industry. You can post something, a regional sales manager can see it and like it. Now you start a dialogue. Now all of a sudden an opening comes up. He has an interview. He already knows you before you walk in the room, and you never met him. Everything was self-imposed, but by you posting, you caused all this. That's textbook. That's incredible. You guys can do this all the time. A lot of you don't take advantage. You're nervous to post. I don't know what to say. You could look online, get ideas, and maybe something you learned that day. Like the original question before, I've been applying, 30 different companies. I haven't gotten back. Anybody, can you share any advice? Has anyone else dealt with this? All right, guys, everyone's, that's in this industry has been in your shoes. So you're going to see how much people do want to help and get back to you. So definitely posting is huge on LinkedIn, and you got to do more of it.
All right, I got probably two more questions for you, Joe.
Thank you, buddy.
We got Sandra Okonkwo.
Okay.
I'm a regional director, and we use LinkedIn constantly to source our candidates. I'd love to hear what you think reps get wrong most often.
Using LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's some of the things that we've been talking about. It's just they don't give it enough attention. And again, I'm not here blaming any of you guys. I did that too. I learned the value over the years on how powerful LinkedIn is. And I started using it more and more, and then started to see how my business grew more and more, both on the academy side and on the recruiting side. It's a tremendous resource. So the biggest thing that they do is not doing anything. That's the thing they get wrong. They update their resume. They don't update their LinkedIn profile. So I'll get a little bit more specific. One of the key mistakes that they make, update one and not the other. Resume and LinkedIn, or LinkedIn and resume. Usually people are always pretty good with updating their resume, and they tend to ignore their LinkedIn profile. So there'll be a job or two that they have on their resume and not have on their profile, or vice versa. They have two more on their profile and not on their resume. Guys, that's a huge red flag. That has to match identically. Whatever's on your resume should match identically to your LinkedIn profile, including all your results, all your awards, all your rankings. Everything that you have in your resume, make sure it matches exactly, because if it's off and you have an extra job in one or the other, they start going, wait a minute, is this guy full of shit? How come he doesn't have the job over here? How come he took it out on his resume, but it's on his profile? That's a red flag, and I get it. Sometimes you have those little 2-month, 3-month jobs that you don't want to talk about. But if you put that on one, trust me, guys, they're going to notice that and go, wait a minute. And then they're going to just stay away from you. So make sure everything matches. But at the end of the day, you got to make sure that you're updating it, because that's one of the keys.
All right. I got one more for you. Daniel Forsyth. Joe, I appreciate you doing this. As someone transferring from a clinical background, I find it difficult to write achievement-based bullet points since my current role isn't revenue-driven. How do you recommend framing impact in a non-sales role for a LinkedIn profile targeting med sales positions?
I mean, there's many different ways. There's for instance, we did this with teachers. We've done this with bartenders. We've done this with waiters. For a teacher, a lot of times you go, I'm not in a sales role, but they get graded on how their students do. So you can have whatever, like achievement or aptitude tests, where they helped achieve a certain level, or they're talking about helping to teach classrooms of 25 students or more. You're always giving numbers. You're always giving some sort of data to show results. There's many different ways to do that. You could talk about on the waiting side, if you're waiting tables, what was your average sale per customer and how you upsold. The average for the restaurant was $25 a customer, while you averaged $37 a customer, which was 150%, improvement from the average, per sale, per customer per sale. I'm saying it wrong, but you could still break down that number, and that's not a sales role, but you got to show those transferable skills. I know I had lawyers that were able to attain certain settlements, where they grossed, 20 million in settlements one year. The next year they did 30 million. Again, another 150% improvement. So there's so many different ways to break down the numbers, unless I know the specifics, but we can always show results no matter what it is. Believe me, guys, I know it's not easy to do. We had years of experience, so we can help you do that. Best thing to do, whatever personal situation you're going through, reach out to me. We could schedule a call and I can help walk you through that.
That's it today, Joe. That's all we got.
That's it? Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, James.
Of course.
Thank you for the little digs earlier about talking what an idiot I am on social media. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem, dude. It's just with technology and social media.
That's it.
Everything else you're really good at.
Thank you. Well, but no, as I said, it's 100% true. So, but thank you, James. Thank you, everyone. Great questions. Great show today. Guys, if you need anything, again, I'm here. Get in touch with me. If you're trying to break into this industry, stop waiting, guys. It's the worst thing you can do, is that things are going to change. It was Christmas, the holidays. Now they're going to start hiring again. So people are going to be reaching out. Guys, they can ignore you forever. Trust me, there's too much competition. Don't wait. Each month you wait, the average sales rep to break in is about $98,000. That means comp and your base salary, $98,000. That's not including all the car, the cell phone, the expense account, the 401k, the medical, dental, vision, all the benefits that are amazing, which makes it a much more substantial number. But you're literally walking away from $8,000 to $10,000 a month, that you could be making, that you're just waiting and waiting and waiting. And I see it all the time, guys, where people wait and then they get frustrated and then they stop this journey. Don't get to that point. Reach out to us. We can help you break in with the Rep Path Academy. Click on the link below for the reppath.com. Schedule a call with me. You could shoot me a DM on LinkedIn, and we could give you the, all the details. And lastly, guys, as always, any lobby members, please reach out to me. When you do, give me the promo code Licata. See that on the screen too, Licata, so that I could get you additional discounts. Other than that, guys, thank you. This is our last call for the week, so we won't have another one until Monday. As always, every Monday and Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. If I don't talk to you or hear from any of you guys, have a great week, great weekend, and we'll talk next week. Take care.